Welcome to Suge and Mooney presents the Yankees fan playoff preview. So, Joel, 60 games you've seen the Yankees play. What's your overall conclusion of the regular season?
Not too much. It can't really, in the 60 game shortened season, can't really process much like that. I have to look at it if it was halfway through last year. I say if it was 162 games, we'd be good. What was our record again?
30, I
30,
believe
30 and
30,
7.
33 and 27, I believe. Off the
33,
top of my head,
27.
yeah.
That's a good, like, what, 5 games? 6 games over 500. That's good for, half season. I would say not, Yankees numbers, but considering we were injured a lot, lost a lot of our key players, Stanton, Judge, Torres was injured, even Andujar. I was expecting him to have a good season after, getting snubbed last year for, rookie of the year, and Torres as well. So I expected them to come back and even be even more better. But, unfortunately, both of them were injured. Other than that, that was a short game season. We did pretty good. Only thing that always bothered me with the Yankees anyway is just pitching, and we only signed Cole this year. But
Mm.
that's another story for another day. I feel like that's just Yankee ownership is not wanting to spend money anymore, or wanting to win a World Series first with a low payroll. Then they could get back to the old Yankees spending money, this, that, and third, just to prove that the Yankees can win a World Series without spending millions of dollars, and well, more than just what they spend on Cole for a World Series. So I feel like that's why we only signed Cole. But other than that, for the playoffs, I just got to go day by day because I was taking it the same way I was taking the regular season, just day by day. It's not
Right.
like only 60 games. You can't really judge, especially after watching baseball for 162 games. It's just I've seen teams in the regular season go second half and end up making the playoffs because that's just how important it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this season, I'm not content honestly, because and not just so much playing wise, it's just like a whole like back office wise. Not front office, I mean not back office. What I'm talking about, front office wise. Like I said, I feel like they just being a little too not cheap with money, but like I said, I feel like Yankees ownership is not trying to spend any money until they win a World Series
Right.
on a low payroll, and then okay, let's start being the Yankees of old when George Steinbrenner, rest in peace to him, was the owner.
Yeah. I mean, this season, like going into the season, I was like, wow, 60 games, like because I actually remember before they shut down the season or delayed the season, the Yankees had like a shit ton of injuries like to begin with. So the time between the delay and actual start of the season, like a lot of the guys got injured. So I'm thinking like, wow, like we're gonna finally have like a fully healthy team. Um Luis Severino aside, because he was gonna be out for the year, like regardless. But then the injury bug still hit, and you know, because of the shortened season and no spring training, especially with like pitching, you kind of had to expect like there would be like injuries like out of nowhere. Um, but like before the season, I kind of thought, all right, like this is, especially the fact that like you're only playing like your division, and you're only playing your your division, so to speak, in the National League. So you got to play like the Mets, the Marlins, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Braves, like teams that probably weren't on the same level as the Yankees, and plus the Yankees had like a really good divisional record last year. On top of that, like Boston took a step back, so I kind of like out the gate, I'm like, yo, like I think we could win like 40 of these like 60 games. And I guess in hindsight we ended up like 7 games behind that. But like with the shortened season, you know, every year I always see it that like, in like April and May, like there's always some kind of like random team that like gets off to a hot start. Um so before the season I was kind of like, why they like, I didn't really like the idea of like an expanded playoff, because I'm like, that will give people a lot more incentive to try to win. Like every single game is like a playoff game. But, the expanded playoff kind of like protected teams from like, teams like the Yankees, where like you get, these crazy injuries out of nowhere. You'd be able to like rebound, and if you didn't make it, you didn't make it, and injuries just screw your season. You just look towards next year and you just be like, all right, well, you know what, this is like, a COVID year or like a short season anyways. It's weird. Um, but with the expanded playoffs, also a lot of teams that hadn't made it in like forever, like the Padres and the Marlins, um, the White Sox, like they made the playoffs for like the first time in like forever. So that's fly. Um, but you kind of saw like a little bit of like inconsistency from different players. You talked about like the pitching. You like Paxton early on, and then he got injured. Um, but for the most part, like Cole has been good. He's had his starts. That's been good. Tanaka also has his starts where he's good. Um, Montgomery, Hap came along surprisingly towards the second half of the season. Um, and then they found like some gem, like a gem in Davy Garcia. Like Garcia's last couple starts haven't been great, but you assume he's gonna come out of the bullpen. Um, but all in all, they ended up in second place, barely, which gives me room to be skeptical about their chances, cause this season kind of had like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Like they started off 15-5, and then from there they kind of went like 5-15, and then they went 10-0, and then this last week they went like 1-7 or 1-6 or something like that to end the season. So the old adage in baseball is, you never, like when you're really good and like you're winning, you're not really that good, and when you're really bad and you're losing, you're never really that bad. So we've seen the Yankees be like really good and really really bad, and they wound up in second place. So they ended up, they could like, what I would have appreciated is if they didn't end up with the division win or the division title, and number 1, 2, or 3 seed, that they end up with that number 4 seed, so that they'd have home field advantage against the 5th seed. Um, which they could have if they would have played better. This last week they probably would have ended up with that 4th seed, but unfortunately they ended up in the 5th seed, and they're playing. Actually, it was like kind of weird yesterday, because yesterday I had like a crazy day with like seeding. Um, and with all MLB seasons, they still ended the regular season the way they usually do, which is every game starts at 3 o'clock, so that there's no scoreboard watching, and you know the playoffs are set up, and it's like a crazy day. So all in all, when the dust cleared, they ended up playing. They ended up facing Cleveland, and that will be Tuesday 7 o'clock, and Wednesday 7 o'clock for the first 2 games. So remember, it's 2 out of 3. So they have to win um one of the first 2 games to like still be in it, and for there to be a third game. Um and that's gonna take place in Cleveland. Um so Cleveland has been really good with their pitching staff. Like I tweeted yesterday, I said like their pitching staff is actually so good that they actually traded a really good pitcher in Clevenger just because they were tired of him. They were tired of his antics. Um so Yankees, Cleveland Indians, Garrett Cole versus Shane Bieber, who's like the odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young. In game one, I can't remember who's pitching for Cleveland in game two, but it would be Tanaka versus that person. I believe it could be Carrasco. Um, and then game three, if necessary, will be J Happ going for the Yankees. So what's what's your thoughts on that series and what's your confidence level?
Um, I, yeah, I'm not gonna say. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna say it's not too high for like 3 games, especially with like I only have confidence really in Cole because Tanaka and you said Hap
Hmm.
are the other two starters. It's like with Cole, I could see him going at least giving up at least 2 runs minimum. So with our batting order, with our batting lineup, even though again like a couple guys are just not hitting as well,
Hmm.
I could see at least us making a comeback. But Tanaka, he's prone to give up a few runs now. Like he's not how younger Tanaka. Tanaka's prone to giving up some runs, probably 5, 6 innings, and then you got to dig into the bullpen, and our bullpen has been struggling as well.
Right.
So I see only like for game one, I could see Cole giving us a solid 7, 8 innings, probably two runs, 1 run maybe. And like I said, hopefully on that game we'll come back, but it's only the first game, so we have a chance for game two and three, and that's where again with Hap and Tanaka, I don't see too much there. Hopefully, it could be the old Tanaka because when he's in the playoffs, he usually shows up sometimes. A few games he usually shows up in the playoffs. And with Hap, I'm not too familiar with Hap like that, but I just know the kind of like with Cole's caliber of a pitcher he is, he could definitely give us 7, 8 innings and make us close. Have us give us a fighting chance to at least try to win. I'm not too sure about happening tonight. Like I could see them pitching a good solid 5, 6 innings, but then all of a sudden bullpen got to come in, and who's in the bullpen really that could give us like 3 shutout or something of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, like I ranked it last. If I had to rank, because we've made this is our fourth straight year making a postseason, and I think I ranked it yesterday, and I was like from 1 through 4, um my confidence in each team. Um, Last year, 2019, I had a lot of confidence in our team, so I put them one. Second, I would say 2017. Third, I would say 2018, and then last, I would say this season, just because of the inconsistency. Like they've been so inconsistent, and just that idea that you could just like turn it on and turn it off, or switch it on when you need to win. Um, that doesn't really play in the playoffs. Like um you have to be going in there with the confidence that you could win every night. And for the last few years, all of those seasons, all 3 years before this one, like every postseason, the bats have kind of like disappeared. I mean, to be fair, um, when it goes to like um 2019 and 2017, you run into like a good pitching staff in Houston. But the difference between 2019 and this year is like if you face a team like Houston, like they don't have Garrett Cole, but we're not facing Houston, we're facing Cleveland. Um, but we don't know much about Shane Bieber. We don't know how if he's like playoff tested. Garrett Cole's been really solid in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Um, so the thing I think is most important for the Yankees is like they have to come out and win um tomorrow's game. Yeah, they have to win game one. You win game one, then you know what? You put all the pressure on Cleveland, and Cleveland has to win game two, and then they have to win game three. If you win game one, then you just have to come out on Wednesday, win game two, bing bang boom. You're flying out to San Diego. So this has been the Yankees fan preview presented by Suge and Mooney. So just um full disclosure, um we want to do this for as long as the Yankees are in the playoffs. If you want to hear more of this, just keep rooting for the Yankees to make it deep. Um and we'll do every round and preview the Yankees every round, and then pre pick the other series going on at the same time going forward. If not, we will have a special where we kind of like conclude the season and think about and talk about what the Yankees could do going forward to finally to finally get that 28 championship. Surprisingly, the last decade has been like the first decade since the 1920s, first decade in 100 years that the Yankees hadn't went to the World Series. They had two opportunities. AL lost in six last year in the ALCS, lost in seven in 2000 in 2017. They lost the ALCS in 2010, and we lost the ALCS in 2012. So we had opportunities to get to the World Series. So just getting to the World Series would be nice, but definitely this is New York, 27 time world champions. Um, our goals are a lot more loftier, and we'd like to win a championship and bring a championship back to New York City. Um, so I'd like to thank Joel for getting up early so we could get this out. And this has been Suge me the Mooney, Suge me the Mooney, Suge me the Mooney.